No Atlas Stones, no Strongman show. Why not just do a powerlifting bullshit? The stone off was awesome. They should have banned tacky though, it's just cheating. It's gonna be a long episode, lads. It's gonna be a long episode with this horse shit. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It is the day after the huge announcement from World's Strongest Man, and what a great competition they're after turning it into. Make strongman great again. As you can hear here, lads, the rain is falling from the skies as usual. I am so sick of this rain. I hope the sun is shining where ye are, lads, but if you are in Ireland, it's probably raining. Let's go to the comments. Today we're going to cover some of the comments from yesterday's announcement. Let's dig into some of these comments. Agree, really good changes means everyone gets to the heats of 5 events like this format, like OSG. Would you like to see 2 wildcard spots with most third place points like they used to make a 12-man final again, as some final events suit certain athletes? I think that would be a great idea, you know. Maybe it's something they can look at to do next year, and increasing the 10-man final to 12-man and having some sort of playoff between all the third places. Maybe, like you're saying, the guy with the highest amount of points, or the 2 guys with the highest amount of points in third place, get to the final. I think that's a great idea. Hopefully, I know some of the strongman personnel watch my channel. That would be a great idea. Maybe looking to doing something like that next year, and you increase the 10 to 12. I don't think it would affect the camera and the days and the heats as much. You know, because there's 4 episodes of World's Strongest Man. I don't think it would. No, there's not. There will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes. So I don't think it will increase that any bit by adding 2 extra athletes to the final lineup. So yeah, hopefully that's something they would do, because it would just make it more exciting. And I think there's more than 10 guys that deserve to be in the final of World's Strongest Man. I think we should increase it to 12, because 12 is 12 strong guys. Why did you not add Hatton to the horse race event suitability? You know what? If I didn't, I should have, because that for me is a man that could do a lot of harm in the final. I think he's going to win the behind the neck press. Just looking at the events, not carrying hoist. He's a man that can move. For a round fella, he can move. 18-inch max deadlift. He pulled a handy 460, 465. But I think if you're going to get points there, you're going to have to be pulling 500 kilos for the top points. I think Tom can do that. I think Hooper can do that. Yeah, for top points there, I think you need to do that. Hercules hold, I'm not sure what his grip is like. Possibly. Flintstone press max, I think he'll win that. Atlas Stones, he's a great stone lifter. So yeah, if he was on the podium, I would not be one bit surprised, to be quite honest with you. Fuck Pa, I agree with you. Based. Yeah, do you know what? Fuck me. Fuck Pa. Fuck me. I'm reading a lot of comments. Fuck Pa. A lot of hate comments. A lot of hate going on at the minute. There's a lot of strongman fans, right? And there's not a whole pile of them, but there's a few there and you're the most toxic shower of cunts ever. Nothing but hate and shite coming out your mouth. But you know what? I pay no heed to it, because all that hate from that people throw, it always comes from underneath you. It's all the little bits of shite on the ground that are throwing shite. You will never get that sort of hate it never comes from above or from beside you, really. It always comes from the ground, the bottom of the barrel. And if you're making comments like that against athletes that are just doing their job, trying to do their job, then you're not more than a piece of shit on the ground. I'm sorry to say. The Doug Daniel. I thought it was strange that they'd reduce the number of events in the final. It all makes sense now. The emphasis, even more the fact that overall, World's Strongest Man has more events than the other big shows, and as well as most athletes overall. Things people always forget when they're comparing shows. Exactly. This is why World's Strongest Man is the pinnacle. It invites some of the greatest athletes ever. You know, it's bringing new guys through that won't get a chance at Rogue, Arnold or Brian Shaw, particularly if you're from the UK or Eastern Europe. You're not going to get these opportunities to go to these shows. So World's Strongest Man is great in that sense, that we find new athletes. For argument's sake, a great little story there is Mitchell Hooper, who was a second reserve for the 2021 World's Strongest Man, or 22, whatever year he came in there, 23 maybe. And look what he turned out to be. Do you know, it's about, that's the thing about World's Strongest Man, is discovering great athletes like that. Moving on. Is the Hercules hold made wider or narrower for each athlete so the pillars are leaning at the same angle? That's a great question. We are measured in the Hercules hold. We have to be measured in, unfortunately, because imagine the likes of Thor Bjornsson, or I think actually Tom Stoltman has a wider wingspan, and Francis Kane. You know, you couldn't put them at the same angles because Francis Kane wouldn't have the wingspan of our Tommy now, would he? He's the little short arms in him, the little whore. So if you had to put Tom on the same thing as Kane Francis, or Francis Kane, I always mix up his name, Tommy would have the shoulders pulled out of him, because by the time they let off the things, his arms would be out here and all the weight then would be in his hands, the actual weight of the pillars. So yes, we're all measured in beforehand. Jesse Hall. At the moment, Hooper and Laws are extremely confident in this world's is Hooper's, and they'd be foolish not to. Hooper is the number one strongman on the planet. He wins everything. The man will be coming into this surely as the favourite alongside Tom. But with this change, if Tom goes into the final above Hooper and comes top 4 at least in Hercules hold as he's training it in training grip, I see Tom winning or second on the first event, top 3 in the 18-inch. Remember back to the Strongest Man on Earth and the 18-inch Homer tired lift in which he won. Exactly. See, people are forgetting that fact. Again, he might lose points and hold, but it's down to damage limitations. I see Tom winning or second in the Flintstone press, and he will win stones. It's going to be tight between Hooper and Stoltman, who shows up. And that's what I mean. That's why I was saying yesterday, a lot of you were saying it was clickbait, what I used. But this does make Hooper's chances harder, I think, because it's after increasing Tom's ability to get more points. That's all I was saying with that. It was a little bit clickbaity, but that's what grabs your attention. I wanted you to watch. I wanted you to see the changes. So it just makes Tom, it suits Tom more than it suits Hooper, I think, because of the Hercules hold in the final where Tom will lose a few points. Al the Gear UK, how do they see the groups to make them fair? Number 1 seeds are all best friends of Darren and Colin. That's how they do it. So if you're really good friends with Colin and Darren, you'll get a top seed there. It doesn't matter what you do. That's how you get top seed, not winning competitions. Is that what you wanted to hear? That's not how it's done. Top seeds are, like, number 1 seeds will be the winner of World's Strongest Man, will be they take everything into account with these seed. It's the winner of competitions, and it's competitions ranked then as well. So like if one fella, do you know what, it's Hooper's after really messing it up this year. He's after making it a lot harder to seed World's Strongest Man this year because he's won everything. And normally they'll take a winner from like Arnold's or Rogue or Strongest Man on Earth or the guy that's won the most Giants lives, you know, stuff like that. So that's how the number 1 seed. But because Hooper has won everything, he's going to make it harder to pick seeds. And you have different levels of seeds. Then you have a really top number 1 seed, which would be Hooper. Or you could have a low level 1 seed. It's very confusing, to be honest with you. You can have a low level number 1 seed, which could be Luke Richardson for winning Europe's Strongest Man. You know, he could be a low level 1 or a high level 2, and then you got low level 2s, and then you got high level 3. So you know what I mean. It's all performance based is how they pick the seeds mainly. It's not who you know, it's what you have done in the past is how it's done. I'm sorry, Pat, but I think you mixed some stuff up in your predictions. Hatton is far from challenging the top guys at deadlift for reps. Now, I looked at his video, right, and I was looking at the most recent video of him, and that's possibly true. I think, though, that Hatton is a lot stronger. I think if he trained a little bit differently, he could do more damage. We'll see. We're looking at this video here, and he does 5 reps of, I think it's like 350 kilograms. And you can just see there's so much power in each rep, but his breathing isn't ideal. And if there's one fella that finds the easiest way to do everything, I am the man, right? I just think like at each lockout, he should slow it down a small bit more. At each lockout, take a big, massive, deep breath and sink that fucking deadlift down into it. Come back up, Take that big breath again. Get that as much air in as you can get. And I think for this set, you can see he was nearly bottled out at the 5th rep. But I think if he nailed his breathing a little bit, he could get 7, 8, 9 reps, because you can see the 5th rep is quite easy. He's just gassed out. So maybe if he changed his training around, he could get a lot more out of that deadlift. Haynes will lose a lot of points at the stone medley because of the stone press. Well, I just see yesterday Paddy Haynes shared a little stone press. I think it's a similar weight of the one at World's Strongest Man. Typically a stone press doesn't suit the bigger fella because they can't get their hands in the right position. So Paddy Haynes is the perfect little size to press a stone, because you need to get really underneath it. And he pressed that stone yesterday of the same weight. Hopefully he does it in the heats. I think he's a big danger to all the big names at the World's Strongest Man. Tom also won't smoke everyone at the stone medley because they are all natural stones, which he is also good at, don't get me wrong, but he is not as good on the Atlas stones, and that is a very valid point. Tom is number 1 on the Atlas stones, right? There's no doubt. He's unreal. We see his recent stone video where he did a couple of one motions of a 200 kilos to the highest platform, which is crazy strength, ridiculous. He doesn't, unfortunately, carry that same strength when it comes to natural stones. Now, I imagine Tom is no fool either. He comes into World's Strongest Man a different yoke to what we see at Rogue Arnold's and Strongest Man on Earth. And I just think he'll walk through it. I just think he's just this, he finds this extra gear at World's Strongest Man. Moving on, lads. Yeah, love the new format, but won't get to see it. Screw a TV contract. World's Strongest Man needs a live stream. Until then, they can suck it. And you know what? You're right. I understand your pain. I understand it. It should be live. But everyone that was in charge of that contract, the guy that signed the contract is dead. So he doesn't give a fuck anymore, right? And when he signed it, he signed a 50-year contract, which kind of fucks everyone then for the next 50 years, because a contract is a contract at the end of the day, do you know? So you can't blame Worlds, you can't point the finger at Worlds or Giants Live. The only finger to point at is the fella in the ground, the fella that caused all this, the cunt that put his signature on it. So yeah, I understand your pain though. Calzonia, no Atlas Stones, no Strongman show. Why not just do a powerlifting bullshit? The stone off was awesome, but they should have banned tacky though. It's just cheating. This is clearly a man that has never touched a weight in his life. You have a tacky without stone without tacky. You haven't a clue what you're talking about. Okay, we're going to do a little experiment. I want you, right, to go out on the road, and I want you to jump out in front of a car and see if you can beat it. I think you can do it. I think you have it. Go for a really fast car and jump out in front of it. I think you have this in the bag. I genuinely do. Go out. Let us know how you get on. Moving on, Danimal77. I attended the World's Strongest Man competition in Myrtle Beach in 2023 and 2024 for the heats and the finals. I wish they had implemented these changes when I was there. I know. I think 2023 is the year, I call it. I call it the year of the stepladder, because there were so many stepladders at that competition for people trying to see it. And what happened there, unfortunately, is World's Strongest Man did not think they would get the crowd that they got, and just got swamped. There were so many people there, and unfortunately none of them could really see it, so they started buying step ladders. And I noticed that every time we went out to the crowd, there was people, hey, can you sign my step ladder, man? I was like, yeah, I'll sign the step ladder. The next thing, fella come over to me, hey, can you sign my step ladder? And I was like, what is all this fucking step ladder shite about? Where are you going with all the step ladders? Is there a step ladder competition on somewhere? And he said, no, man, we're using them over there to watch the show. And then I looked over, I glanced over across the beach, and there was all the step ladders set up. And I was like, Jesus Christ, that is some sight. That is some sight. Moving on. Stanny, really jealous of your weather. Sick of the sun all day, every day here in Australia. Oh, Jesus, what I would give for a bit of sunshine. Just a couple of weeks of the sun. Listen, you can hear the rain hopping off my caravan roof. Can you hear it? 1 second now, listen to this. Listen to that shit. My socks are drowned. Anyway, moving on from that fucking rain. Stowe. This show will be a complete blowout. Fight for second place after Mitch wipes his ass with the competition yet again. And you know, he could. He could. The thing about Mitchell Hooper is, you know, some athletes come in and they're hot and cold. The thing about Mitchell Hooper is there's no hot and cold with him. There was only hot. He comes into every competition equipped and ready to go and wins it. He's never down in confidence. He's never down in his abilities. He never second guesses anything, which has a lot to do with his success. So if he does it, if he does wipe the competition, you know, I would not be surprised. It's something he's very capable of doing. Robin Moorhead. How much will international strongmen be charged in taxes for competing in USA this year if they win? Well, here's the thing, right? So we win $75,000. Converted to pounds sterling, that is about £55,000 sterling. So if Tom wins, we pay 30% tax on that, leaving the US, which 30% of 55,000 is 10% would be 5,500 multiplied by 3 would be 16,500. From 55,000 is 39. Yeah, 39,000. This is a lot of numbers, lads, that I'm used to. £39,000. So that's what his winnings will be. 39,000 for winning World's Strongest Man. There you go. There's a quick breakdown. Moving on. This should help Matthias, which makes me happy. And you know what? That's a great point. I didn't even think of that, because it also increases, because this type of a change will increase the chances of a fella that has a weak event. And Matthias has a weak event, which is the deadlift. Now, it does increase the chances because obviously all his points now are going to be gathered up from the heats and the finals and are going to be combined together. And you know what? If Matthias won, I would be delighted. I'd love to see him on that podium holding number one, holding the trophy. The man deserves it. And you know, like, what do you mean he deserves it? Because it's just fitting for him to win World's Strongest Man. He's such a class strongman. I love watching the man compete. He's a machine. It's brilliant watching him compete. I'm such a fan of him. So to see him win, and you know what? Every strongman says the same about him. They're mad about him. They'd love to see him win. Do you know? Right, lads, that's all we have time for, I'm afraid. I'm going to have to go and train. Thank you all for coming. If you want to pick up some of these hoodies, they're nice. This is a 2XL. Head over to my store, Patrick O'Dwyer, paodwyer.com. I appreciate all the support always. I appreciate all the comments, the likes, the subs. So thank you very much. You make me very happy. Good day to you, lads. I hope you have a great weekend.